So, what is you said something interesting? What is reverse code switching? I've never heard of that.
So reverse code switching is something that I call is just basically that when you think about when you think about conversations, you hear people when you get the call on the phone, you're like, "Hello, how are you doing?" Right? Reverse code switching would actually just be when you get that call, being like, "Hello, hey, how you doing? What's up?" When you walking at me and they be like, you be like, "Hey y'all, hey," like that's reverse because that's your personality, right? Because if someone came in, they're like, "Hi," that's not you, right? That's why so many black women, especially, they're exhausted after a week of work because they have been annihilated as to who they are as a person. So they're constantly in this work week being somebody they're not, constantly having a fake smile on, constantly producing this different type of energy. I'm not finna do that. I'm not I'm not finna do that. I got too many responsibilities in my house where mental health and my ability to show up for my children and my family is necessary. So I'm gonna go to work comfortable, right? Because when I get home, I got to be comfortable for my kids. I got to have that mental health. I don't want to be drained from work and now I'm drained to my kids, right? And my kids have this perception that my mom has prioritized work. So the one thing I can control in my workspace is how I show up and I present myself, right? And it never bothers me. And this is the one thing I always tell people: when you know your stuff, you know your stuff. So it will never bother me if someone says, "Oh, I think she's ghetto. Oh, I don't, she's too urban, she's too this." I could be the most urban, I could be the most ghetto, but I'm going to be the best one at the job at the end of the day. I have the most knowledge about what I do. And I think that's the thing that we have to do. Like, we have to continuously remember that if you're the best, you're the best. It don't matter how it come out, how it sounds, how it looks.
Yeah, I love it. It's funny when you said like how you really answer the phone. Uh, I remember I was, and I can talk about this later because I know we're going to talk about negotiating and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, and the recruiter called me back, and I had basically asked him to ask for more money, and he was trying to talk me out of it. So he calls me back. I was like, "Hey, you got some good news for me?" So when you said what you said, it made me think about like I was speaking like in my authentic tone.
Mhm.
I also was being very assumptive, using more of assumptive closing, which is like a sales tactic too. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah. Um, so how long did it take you to get to this point though?
I would say maybe 2 or 3 years in the working space, right? Because I was working and I just felt like I would get home and I would be so burnt out from all week going, "Yeah, absolutely, sure," like, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, like another meeting." I was dreading going to this meeting. Now I was like, "Look, my next job, I'm gonna let them folks know I'm the Jairus DJ James." And so, like, when I remember I was working with a consultant one time, she was like, "You either need to be DeJaris or you need to be DJ." I said, "No, ma'am. My grandma gave me that name. I'm gonna stand on that name for the to the day I die." I said, "But
And no,
nobody's gonna say my name wrong, so I'm gonna give them the opportunity to call me DJ."
I can
Yeah.
hear you. I can it switched to my end. Sorry.
Okay. I'm gonna give you the opportunity to, like, call me DJ. And so, like, after I started going by the Jars DJ James, I think it was irreversible. Like, like it just set a tone. Like, I had my pitch of the jar is open, drop the open. That's my name, the Jaris, but it rings with DJ James too. So, like, when I bottled it up that way, it already let most people, when I came in the door, they're like, "Okay, this girl has a swag about herself." um,
Yeah.
and so I just roll with the swag.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. It's crazy how people can like give you advice and they have like the best intentions, but it doesn't like necessarily like help you or fulfill you long term. Um, so it's like that's like one thing I've kind of picked up. It's like when I get advice on something, kind of take it like from a grain of salt because it's my lived experience and that person give me advice based on what they
They're
believe would help to help you reach their goal too, because it's a recruiter. So I know I cut you off, but what were you about to say?
I said that that's the first thing I always tell people, and that's why I said it when we were talking about like the, the code switching thing is that become when you become comfortable with who you are, advice is nothing more than a tool used to determine an action, right? That's all it is.
Right.
And with that tool, you decide how you want to use it, right? Some tools in the toolbox you can only use it on a flathead nail. Some of them you need a Phillips screwdriver. Some of them you need a wrench. So like when you realize that you can put that tool in your toolbox and figure out how you can use it on your life, that's the most impactful thing. You want to be a solid tool in whatever you are doing and whatever you're demonstrating, but that takes time with you for a long, like growing and becoming comfortable with like who you are and what you do and what you stand for. There's so much of our story we don't know, and what we do know, we should always be proud of it. So that's why I said, like taking it back to code switching, I could never because it's too much. Too many people died on the line just for how they sounded, just for how they looked. For
Right.
me to want to emulate the people that they were fighting against every single day, just couldn't do it.